momentarily, probably by 10 a.m. And yeah, come on in. Come on into the chat. Let's see what's going on. We'll get going in a second. Okay, we're back in the saddle. So I thought that it would take us a while to get set up. Excuse that. All right, we're gonna post to our timeline on Facebook. Wonderful Facebook. Good morning, Facebook. Hello. We're going to we should be starting in about 1 minute at this painting. We got it set up. Let's share it. Okay. We've got a lovely overcast day outside, which is nice. We're going to find out how to share to my favorite group, Portrait Painters Group. Maybe we'll get some viewers, chatters and viewers. Okay. So we've finished setting our channel here. We're gonna see what's happening. Well, if you haven't guessed already, we're painting the painter of happy trees. Maybe you read that in the video description. So let's chat a little bit. The man needs really, this is a man who needs no introduction. Whoa. But he was one of the first painters I ever watched paint, for sure. I think that probably could be said for a lot of people. And let's dive right in. So, starting off, we're going to get rid of our starting soon. And we'll just grab our brushes. Hang on. We're going to grab our brush. Whoa. Oh, come on now. Is it really? Okay. We're going to lock this. Here's our paint layer. And then, as we've always done, actually, I'm going to move our subject above our paint layer. That's just behind the scenes stuff. Okay. Well, we're not going to be painting happy trees, but we'll be employing some of the techniques and colors. Oh, at Linda. Yes. Great, Cinnabon boy. Thank you for joining. We got our Twitch stream going, and Cinnabon boy is in the house today. We're starting the chat off with some spirited trolling. And I don't think, yeah. Maybe I'll. I'm not gonna get into all that. The thing is, nobody on Facebook is watching. Maybe I think there's one viewer, but it's me, and it's remarkable to me because I'm, as you know, I'm the storied admin of a Facebook group called the Portrait Painters. Portrait Painters. It's got 260,000 members of this group. And I am sharing my stream to that group directly or indirectly from my portrait, from the same page which admins that group. And it's crickets. It is absolute crickets. And I think the reason is because digital painting is like not painting. I mean, let me tell you about another, since you got me going, let me tell you about a comment I got recently. And maybe this was, I'm getting double trolled here, but let's take a look. Let's find out where this wonderful, encouraging comment is. Now, Jeff Goodrum. Yes, it's art. But if there are no physical brushes, it cannot possibly be painting. Space, exclamation point. Oh boy. That's a tough crowd. Anyhow, is it, so it cannot possibly be painting, but it can be deemed art. And I appreciate that, Jeff. Well, let's dive in. As always, I'm going to just zip into the other room because my precious time lapse means the world to me. Looks like we're good. Looks like we're good. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have another Facebook viewer? Don't go away. We were just talking about the Facebook crowd. What? Wait a minute. 3 viewers on Facebook? This can't be. This can't be real. Okay. Well, let's not worry about the viewers, right? I mean, we'll worry about the viewers, but not how many of you there are. So thank you for joining. If you're coming from the Portrait Painters group, we're thrilled to have you, even though we're not doing real painting. This is digital painting. Oh, they're gone. They're gone. Now, wait a minute. Were you on the, oh boy. Oh, really? Why is it clunky? I didn't know that. All right, well, we had 3 contiguous viewers on Facebook, and then I started talking about them. And they were gone. What was the bold statement? I hope I'm not offending anyone. Oh, from Jeff Goodrum? Yeah. I know it. He may be the one we tag next, or paint next for that matter. All right, I'm gonna try to not be such a snark. But here we go. Let's keep the chat alive in some or other space. I see that we're occasionally going to get some trickles from Facebook. I hope you're not shy. I hope you drop some comments in the comments. So let's be neutral. Art is subjective. Thank you, Cinnabon Boy. Thank you for the reminder. So I've got some weird glare on my face. I don't know why that is. It feels like it's like, does that change it? No. It's like the camera angle coming in. No problem. No one's here to see my face. We're here to see the legend. Painter of Happy Trees. Let's do this. So, to that end, we have started with a sort of red bold ground, where we've got our brushes, but there are no actual brushes. Let's make sure we make that very clear so that nobody's caveat emptor. This isn't really painting. This is trying something new, trying something fun, just trying to enjoy our lives. All right, it's like when whoever it was hung up a blank white canvas with nothing on it. Is that art? To some, yes. To others, no. That is true. And as I've gotten into the weeds before on this very stream, I believe that, like, representational artists, particularly more and more, as art becomes more subjective and less sort of a craft, the way it was dating back to, like, Gothic times, for time immemorial, painting has been, like, representational. And then in the 19 whatevers, my modern art history is abysmal, but at some point it became this abstraction, and then now postmodernism and conceptual art, it's like more and more that kind of marginalizes the representational artist, and the representational artist then, it's almost like a civil war between representational artists and digital artists. I'm not a digital artist. I'm a representational traditional artist who is trying digital media and finding that I love it for so many different reasons. But anyway, I'm blathering on. I hope somebody out there can commiserate and understand that, like, within the subset of representational artists, there's a lot of room for objectivity, because they are painting objects, and the person who sees those objects can be like, that doesn't look like the object, or you haven't done that in a way that is the way I like to see representational art painted, and on and on and on. So if you're an artist, please chime in. The topic of discussion is it art? Is it art? And in fact, at some point I'm going to get something on here, which is a 1980s movie about graffiti in New York City, and there's this police officer that gets up there, and he's got, like, the classic 1980s policeman's hat, and somebody's asking him, like, is graffiti art? And he says, oh, I like that Bob Ross. I like the Bob Ross emote. Nice. Thanks for that. Yeah, so this police officer says, is it art? I don't know. I'm not an art critic, but I can sure as hell tell you it's a crime. And, that's he's not going to put up with any shenanigans on the side of his subways. All right, fun to kick off with a chat, but let's kick it. Let's do this. Linder. Okay, so I've been learning so much about painting from doing this live, or from doing this digital thing, and from doing the live stream and all that. And I can't I'm going to go off on another tangent here. I can't say enough how much digital painting is inspiring me beyond digital painting. There's something, I'm learning so much from these tools. So anyway, here we are with a sort of charcoal lay-in. Again, I call this glorified paint by numbers. This is what Linda in Portrait Painters Group would probably deride as, cheating. But one of the things I've tried to do with my charcoal underdrawing was to get the kind of like energy of what's happening without going in and nailing every little detail. Okay, so it's kind of like, oh, thanks, Cinnabon Boy. It's nice to see me creating. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm moving. I'm getting more creative with my creativity, and that's what's important, right? So, here we go. What I've been learning is just so, yes, yeah, the fire is back. The creative fire is back. Now, you know what else is really cool, I have to say? I decided, maybe it's because, I'm a boomer or I'm a Gen Xer and nobody likes Gen Xers anymore, and Gen Xers don't like the internet anymore, and so I popped over to TikTok and I started hawking my wares on TikTok. No live streams over there yet, but I put up the time lapses, and it's nothing but love over there, and that's, in fact, I'm gonna, I wouldn't say they're jumping out of their seats trying to watch the latest reel, but when they see the reels, they're responding really, really well. So it tells me that like the younger generation, the TikTok generation, might appreciate some of what I'm doing, and that, while that's not the reason to do anything, it helps. Like there's something about it where I'm just like, people want to see this, like, but most of the time it's crickets on my traditional platforms, but we'll get there. I think it's about who the subject matter is, like if we can see the subject. So anyway, look, here we are, 25 minutes in. Let's go. LFG. So we've got our no, do we have it? Let's see what this is. Boop. What kind of brush is this? Oh boy. Womp womp. Now we gotta do a whole bunch of this stuff. Ultimate Kyle Charcoal Pencil. Kyle's Paint Box. Kyle's Paint Box. Kyle's Real Oils. Oh, I love this brush. Okay. So we're going to treat this a little bit like we would treat our... Oh, come on. Oh boy. Are we going to escape? and then we're going to jump back in view, screen mode, full screen mode. Gosh, I can't wait to dive in here, and I'm sure the throngs of portrait painters on Facebook can't wait for us to do the same. LFG. Let's go. So yeah, we'll get our blender brush. And so typically, if I were painting from life, I wouldn't have the luxury of this kind of sketch. In fact, I might, but that's not typically how I've drawn in the past or painted in the past. But since we do have it, but let's sort of keep things interesting as far as how we paint. So by that I mean, what if we, so what I like to do is sort of look at our color wheel here and find a color that kind of resonates with the color of the edge, the light edge of the hair here. So like, no doubt this is a legit haircut. Oh, cool. Okay, so we're going to try and keep it this zoom here. This is a big deal to get this edge in here. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did I do wrong? Oh, you know what I did wrong? Let's get rid of these brush strokes. I know, we've done this before. We'll do it again. I'm just going to drop a new layer here. And then we'll get painting. So, what is it that we're trying to paint here? Well, obviously, Bobby R. Bobby R with the nice, so we'll come in here. This is our distance. So this is, I want to try not to zoom in any farther than this, but here we'll find out. Okay, something like that. We got a nice shadow line here for the nose. Glorified paint by numbers. Bring it on. So, basically, I'm starting with darks. So we'll get in here. I want to preserve my highlights. So that's why I'm going to get in here. Hit it up. You know, we're being very, we're just, yes, we're starting with core features. Okay, so that's what we're doing. By the way, we should keep an eye on, okay, so let's say we started at 30 minutes of prep time. So that's good to know. I'm going to preserve our highlight in the eye here. So one of the cool things about Bob Ross that I learned in the documentary was that he Oh, you know what? I was wondering if anyone's out there um, and would be able to help me determine what is happening on my end. It says bit rate whatever, like, stream overloaded, basically. Is that how you're seeing it on your end? Like, are things getting choppy and you're losing? So these are this is what I need to figure out. Yeah, well, Cinnabon Boys always loved the hair. It's terrific. All right, so there's no shadows particularly on the nose that we might typically be able to grab onto, but there is this nice halftone that trickles over here. So we'll blast that in. At this point, it's glorified paint by numbers. We will say that. I'll be saying that till the cows come home. So yeah, okay. So we've got our we'll find a kind of basic value. Somebody asked a great question on the stream the other day, which was, is it normal to start with these sorts of blotches of color? And my explanation for that, or my response to that, is it may not be normal, but when I start with a gray background, it allows me to very quickly see the correct values. So like, boom, you put in a highlight there on the nose wing, and immediately that jumps out. Whereas if this canvas were white and I put a white highlight on the tip of the nose, you wouldn't see it. So kind of a little hack to make things easier on the old eyeballs, because really this is what this is all about, is being able to see. I'll say that again and again. But if you can see, if you can learn how to see, which is learning how to draw, it teaches you how to learn. When you learn how to draw, you learn how to see. And when you learn how to see, you can paint anything. So you can do it. And yes, you do it your way. No matter what Linda and Jeff say, you just do it your way, okay? And if you have any questions about painting or what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, I always like to talk about that, because I like to talk. But sometimes I'm going to put up my BS break sign because I need to stop my time lapse. Okay, so look, what I'm doing is I'm flicking my eye back and forth and finding out, where does that highlight live? Maybe it lives right here. Maybe it's some little titanium white mixed with a kind of peach color. All right. So look, we're already going to start to see the likeness pop out. We're finding these highlights. We're finding these half tones as my old painting maestro used to call them, half tones. I think there's some kind of a Boston accent. That's kind of how the Kennedys talked, right? Right up until so here we drop in some darks. We're going to find our half tone that wraps around the nose. We're going to find our shadow edge. And we're going to find our highlight on the lip. Now you might be asking, what do you mean you're going to find the highlight? You're cheating again. Yes, I'm cheating. But I do know how to mix colors pretty well. When I paint with, I'm not a colorist by any stretch of the imagination. Some people are all about color. But I am not. But either way, I tend to. Well, why did I say that? Now I'm making excuses for myself again. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, you're cheating. You're grabbing colors from the photograph. Yes. So when I paint, usually I don't have anywhere near the palette that Bob Ross does. I have white, which is typically, I use a Kremnitz white. I use a yellow ochre. I use a ivory black. People on the internet call this the Zorn palette, and I think we call it like a limited palette. I don't think, like many other things in art history, people, think that these things were created by some artist like 100 years ago, but really it was more like hundreds of years ago, or even more. Like, how did we learn about the limited palette? Well, the limited palette's been around for a long time, I am sure of it. But some people call it the Zorn palette. It's white, black, red, and yellow. And with those colors combined, you should be able to mix most things. Okay, look, here again, encoding overloaded. Consider doing something. What do I need to do? I don't want to overload the encoding. So this is just my software telling me you're overloading the system, right? All right. So what I'm trying to do is loosen up a bit. We're kind of, this is like a kid in a candy store. You wanna just go for it and paint the whole thing quick, but it's better to sort of be calm and be strategic and say, okay, well, let's do that. Let's think about what we're going to paint before we just jump in and paint it. Here's our kind of dark of the ear. but it's a little lighter than the ears. So this dark background, when you start with a dark background, one thing that's great about it is your you can see the highlights really easily. But oh, that's crazy. You can see the highlights that you plop down really easily, but not necessarily the... So speaking of highlights, let's find this highlight. Bam, that's a real blast off of a highlight. Whoa. Well, as you know, we don't use the eraser in this, especially with a giant highlight like that. I'm not going to do the old undo delete button, but something like that. All right, well, we calmed that highlight down a little bit. Boy, that was dark. That was scary. Let's get it going. So yeah, Facebook, what's happening? I hope you'll all chime in and hit me up if you're wondering what's going on here. What is this? What's going on here? I'm going to use... I'm going to fire in this dark for the eyebrow. In the beginning here, it's a slow road. But you start to see it take shape. So another example, let's get our nice Van Dyke brown. It's not Van Dyke brown, but that's what Bob used to call everything. Titanium white, Van Dyke brown. I don't use any colors like that in my painting practice. I don't. I use lead white, cadmium red light, and a yellow ochre. And that's what I do. But I like all the little names for colors that Bob had. All right, so all I'm doing here is wasting time when I know I could just blur that all in, get it in quick. All right, now we're going to take our shirt color. This is our first sort of blue color that we're going to pop in here. What else is going on? Let's find out about this eyebrow. Let's see where that lives. Now, if you really squint down, you don't see the the eyeglasses. You know, let's not, we don't have to like, all right, so there's a nice, and a value here. We just want to preserve our edges there, or at least preserve the drawing of where the eyeglasses are, because eyeglasses are a pain in the neck, aren't they? Okay, we're going to find our background color, and we're just going to feed it in here, different from our beard tone. Something like that. Bobby Ross. They didn't need to do him like that, you know. All the coffee mugs and the bobbleheads, but they did it. Okay. What else? Let's find a nice highlight here. Wait, what the? Darn it. I lost that highlight forever. Some darks. We really start to see Bobby taking shape. I mean, maybe not really, but we somewhat see him taking shape. So, yeah. What else happened? What else happened to old Bob Ross? I remember watching Bob on a, you know, maybe a day home from school with a fever, and really being soothed by his whole thing, you know. All right. I love to do stuff like this, where you find a small brush and you just something like that, just to have like where the form is contained. Sharp edge, we'll soften that down later. Got a lot going on here in the hair. So at the end of this, when I'm starting to just riff on some ideas when I'm done with this series, I'd like to pick one of these to go to do a real painting of, which I think Jeff will probably think that's a good idea. And by real painting, I'm joking a little bit because I know there's a lot of digital artists out here who, don't have such a distinction between digital painting and traditional, and so there's, what's his name, Jeff Goodrum is a feller who said, well, it's art, but it's not painting. It's not real painting. Maybe we should have that debate. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Let's duke it out. I don't know. To me, there's so many similarities between traditional painting. So wait, I think I'm losing the stream a little bit. Can anybody tell me if I'm losing the stream? Was he a good art teacher or just a good teacher of his specific methods? Oh, are you talking about Bob Ross? Thank you. Cinnabon Boy asked, in your opinion, was he a good art teacher or just a good teacher of his specific methods? You're really going to regret asking me this one. Bobby Ross. Well, so let's zoom out and think about what makes a good art teacher and what Bob's style and what his techniques were and all that. So Bob did this very formulaic thing, which was he just knew, he learned a technique for painting trees. Basically trees and water, and using the palette knife to drag like the mountains across and all that. Now, if I were to try to do that, I could not do it. I mean, I've tried. I could probably fake it the way, I might be like near the top of one of those art classes where you show up and they teach you how to do this kind of thing. But I would really need to learn a lot of specifics about how to handle a palette knife and, the kinds of brushes he used and stuff. But I think what makes a good art teacher is often like the passion. And while he was not like a passionate person, at least outwardly, he was so charismatic that like you couldn't help but kind of fall in love with his style, and that I just think that's what makes a great teacher of anything. Like oftentimes you're not even understanding what a good teacher tells you, but you just keep going back to the teacher because the teacher is telling you things that they resonate with you, and that's what Ross did for so many millions. Ironically or not, he connected, so I don't know. Yeah, I think I don't really. There are a couple of his paintings. cheapviewers.com. We got a bot here, RGT monitor. There's a bot chiming into the chat. What are we gonna do? Let's befriend him. Don't click that link. let's find his Discord. What's your Discord? We're gonna go down a. So yeah, I think that's a long-winded explanation for my. Like when I look at his paintings. Yes, definitely. Cheap viewers. Let's keep it classy here. When I look at his paintings, I'm not like, oh wow, like it doesn't resonate with me the way a painting. Well, first of all, it's not portraits, and I've always liked painting sort of the psychology elements and the head and the eyes, nose, and mouth and all that stuff. But yeah, it's not portraits, so wow. Hold on a sec. I'm getting flustered here. I wonder if that's that or that. Oh well, let's not worry about that. Yeah, like here's where the subjectivity question comes in. Like you can look at landscape paintings, and I'm not going to mention the names of these artists, but like I will. Like Mark D'Alessio is a man who I learned I studied some with him doing landscape painting. But if you look at his like Instagram stuff, like he combines, he's just like he really has such a great eye, and he also has a really great sort of clever brushwork, and he just paints. He paints so much. Like he paints every day, and he has this like I guess my point is that there are many artists out there who paint landscapes, and you got to find the one that resonates with you. And the same thing is true, I would say, of art teachers. Like, it's like if that person gives you the creeps, like don't study art with them. But if you if you connect with them, by all means, like that's whatever keeps you going back. So, and the same is true of their work. Like, I don't really get a good feeling when I see that. Or you start to learn, one example would be like, I loved Salvador Dali before I went to art school. Because I was like, oh, that looks like a photo, and that's what everybody says. Like, it's so hard to do that, right? But my art teacher kind of beat that out of me, where it was like, photorealism is not the goal. In fact, it's a shameful. I'm not saying that this is my belief. It's just like what my teacher taught me was that photorealism is not art, right? And he would definitely say the same thing about Bob Ross, that it's just, this is just not art. And I'm sorry to say that that's the way a lot of artists are. And I think when I was a kid and I was studying under an artist who was very much judgmental of other artists, even within the art, even within the traditional classical painting world, I kind of learned to I learned to be critical of artists for really kind of unfair reasons, or just unjustified reasons. It's like, well, you can't, who are you to say what is art, even within the traditional context? So, well, there I go. Been going on about probably nothing for quite some time now. All right, so we're going to do about another half an hour, and not on this painting, but just until our break. All right, let's continue down the rabbit hole of this exquisite hairstyle. I think we're going to have a little pattern going here. Excuse me. I never quite resolved. So some of you might remember that I was working on the Dateline portraits, and that was great. And I don't think I'm finished with that series yet, but I could not get my hands on a reference photo for either Dennis Murphy or Lester Holt. And as a result, I decided to put that on the back burner for now. And this was one that I did a few years ago, actually. I did this portrait of Bob a few years back, and I wanted to bring it out again. I can't remember if I did that around the time of the documentary or if it was like a different inspiration. Highlight in the corner of the bridge of the nose. So now we can sort of remember, where did we see that? That lives here. Something like that. All right, we can get some we're going to have some issues with this picture for sure, because the lighting is very much like like I'll venture to guess that this was just sort of, I mean, it's very 80s studio lighting, but that's okay. At least his mouth is closed and we have a reasonable shadow pattern. That's my sort of snobbery coming in, but yeah, what can I say? I'm a snob. All right, we're going to find our... So this is kind of interesting. Like, look, you could see... How does this... You don't want to just willy-nilly start blasting in, like, oh, hair, curly hair. Like, let's just... you actually have to look at the way the hair works. And this is something that I wanted to chat about a little bit before. Why is it so boring to paint brick walls and curls in someone's hair? I mean, for the hyper realists, they love that because it's like, oh, I can get my tiny brush. And I'm not judging that hyper realists at all. But for me, I like to have a broader focus than just that extreme, where you see every hair. Okay, like I like the kind of painterly John Singer Sargent, like Velasquez, like those dudes. There are a lot of contemporary painters. A lot of them are people I know who are painters that I'm like, I'd love to be a painter like some of those guys and gals. But with that painterly thing, when you start trying, if you're not really interested in, so why aren't I interested in painting every curl of the hair? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that there's only one highlight over the nose wing, for example, like here. Like there's only one passage in this painting that does that, right? You can get it inaccurate, but you can't deny that area, that this like little shallow S curve of a shadow exists only once on this painting. Whereas these little curls are like, you could count to 1,000 before you paint them all, right? And I think the problem is, what's the payoff for getting each one of these correct? For me, the payoff is more in having like a lively brush stroke and having a lively kind of, wait, what happened there? Did I just paint on the thing? Boy, I can't even see what I'm doing. So basically the lively brush stroke takes, it sort of gets me going more so than perfectly evaluating, like, where is exactly does that thing go? Now, I'll be the first to admit that I get sucked into those rabbit holes, and it's to the detriment of my paintings often. But that's just for me. I'm not saying that you have to, that anyone has to care about how I paint, but I am just explaining why I get so bored when I get into like painting like a brick wall or something. oh boy. I think it's partly laziness, it's partly the repetition, and then but mostly it's the idea that the payoff from getting all those curls exactly right, you're not going to notice it. You know, the viewer, when all is said and done, you're not going to notice that you got every curl right. Whereas if you don't get the highlight on the tip of the nose right, you're going to see the difference in the likeness. So these are things that just motivate me, and that's kind of what I think about. So, here, look, we've got this patchwork of values here. Obviously, our lightest lights here are these beautiful tones along, look the edge of the highlight here. So let's blast them in. We're going to keep our drawing, so to speak, our underdrawing somewhat, and then try and find a way to melt this shadow. Not shadow, melt it. Basically, on the first lay-in day, what I've decided is I want to try to cover the painting's surface. In other words, cover the canvas. Make a complete statement on the, on at least on the head. Oh, there I go. My encoding overloaded. Consider turning down video settings. I did turn them. I turned them from 6,000 to 5,000, and it didn't change. I don't even know what those things mean. Any streamers out there know what I'm grappling with here? All right. Let's carry on. We must carry on. Okay. See, I like a little wispy brush stroke from time to time, but if I get bogged down in exactly where it lives, it's kind of like Bob. Bob was all about saying, maybe it lives, right around here. Maybe there's a little happy tree that lives around here. When it comes to painting curls in the hair and all that stuff, maybe there's a little wisp that lives right here. And like, if you keep it that vague, it actually it enlivens the painting. So that's kind of, let's take a page from Ross's book and sort of maybe explain to ourselves why we don't like getting all into the nitty gritty. I mean, I like nitty gritty. I like details and fixating and all that, but in the end of the day, you got to think about what the payoff is. And like that. Okay, so here, we don't want to lose our minds over this, but over here, we've got these lovely darks, shadows, and we're going to start to watch the head turn, meaning, let's get in here. You know me with my small brushes. Yeah. That's a line you want to get right. Because if you don't have that line right, it's going to look wonky. Okay, so what else is happening up here? We've got that was a nice highlight. I just mucked it up. So let's put it back. There's a highlight in the corner of the eye that I'm going to lean on as a reference point here. Okay. We're starting to see. Now, what else are we starting to see? We need an eyelash. Okay, here's an example. The eyelash is a great example of where people get a little nutty when kids draw eyelashes. They go overboard, right? Have you ever seen a child's drawing with like 30 eyelashes just sort of clawing out of the paper? We don't need that level of detail. So hold on here. I'm just double checking what I'm doing here. I want to get a good color for the eyelash because as we've seen with these crow's feet, certainly on Josh, I'm sorry, what's his name? Who's the Dateline guy? Keith Morrison. Oh boy. All right, so let's easy does it with all that stuff for now. We just want the basic likeness in there. We're kind of getting a watercolory look going here. I wish I knew how to do like sort of more, this is very direct painting within Photoshop, the way this particular set of brushes works. I'm kind of interested to know if you can do like, if you can thin down the paints in Photoshop. I'm sure you can, but I'm just using like the straight out of the box Kyle's art brushes. I don't know anything about really digital tools as much as I should. If I'm going to be doing this stuff. So, all right, what else is going on? I have to be careful because sometimes my stream freezes up. So let's keep going. Let's look at how this turns. So it doesn't really, we want to find a basic value for all this because look, we don't have, since we don't have really any marks here, we don't have anything to lose. So basically we can, you see how this form, I mean, if you've ever drawn a sphere, this is what I've actually learned recently from painters, friends who are much more skilled than I am. When you look at a sphere like this, the light hits one side and then it starts to turn into shadow. With hair, it works in a similar way. It's light on the edge and then it starts to turn. So, in other words, treat it like you were drawing a sphere. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm gonna wait. Maybe by the end of the painting, I'll get into the little wispy business and find out where all those happy little wisps live. But right now we're not. We're just, we don't have anything to lose here in the drawing. So we're somewhat finding where our shadow edges live. All right. Continuing. How about down here? Looks doable. Now, what kind of a sort of cult, is this a Scientology medallion or like Elks Club? What do we see here? Anybody want to weigh in on what, what is that? I mean, are the fingernails maybe an indication that he's involved with the occult? And is that what that necklace is? I think hopefully we'll find out as we continue our painting journey. Maybe that's something we can research. All right, back of the neck. There's definitely a huge shadow that's going to anchor this whole thing. If we turn this from dark to light, so we'll pop in a shadow there, and then we'll lay in our shadow here. So yeah, there we go. So, whoa, was that as good as I thought it was going to be? Not really. I want a dark. Yeah, so these are the things that you want to bring to portraiture, is your psychology. Like, is it Scientology? Is it, what is driving this man? So any Bob Ross historians out there may feel free to chime in. I know he had a temper on him too, is that right? He looks like the kind of guy that could fly off the handle. We know when he used to clean his brushes, he would he'd beat the devil out of those brushes. I hope he kept your hands to yourself, Bob. Okay, now here's a nice, see this like warm value? Let's find that. And then we're gonna lay it in. Okay, we know that lives there. There's nothing to lose particularly. So, oh God, more streaming problems. Can anyone see if they're losing stream quality when, maybe I should just put my hand up when it warns me about that. Are you able to see? Okay, I thought I was going to take a break in about 5 minutes, but I think I'm going to keep. Neon Mantis, you can see. Okay, no, thanks for the heads up and welcome. Thank you, buddy. All right, so we're not losing any kind of weird. We're not getting any kind of glitchy business. If we are, I just need to find out what I'm doing with my streaming software and why it's. Thanks for the reassurance there. All right, so let's find out. This is where I start going off-piste somewhat, because look, here's our thingy, and here's our. We want to just get an indication of where this dark world. It's very soft, all this stuff, but we want to begin to let it unfold. Okay, so we're not going to do a sharp line, but we're going to get something in there. And when I say off-piste, I mean get away from the map sort of thing. Like once the paint by numbers aspect of this is gone, then you're sort of off-piste. There's no trail that you can refer back to. So speaking of that, let's find out where this nice highlight in the forehead brow lives. So that curves around. We don't know exactly where it is. I'm being a little overcautious because it's so early on in the process. Now, let's see what's going on. Oh, Neon Mantis, thanks for the follow, buddy. And I like that handle a lot. I was face to face with a mantis on Labor Day, right here in Brooklyn, New York, or Queens it was actually. And it was, wow, it was huge. It was like a 4-inch thing. And I like neon too. All right. So we're wending our way through. We've got the hair somewhat resolved. Let's do another fun part, or part that I think is a lot of fun, is finding the nose wing. The Nasenflügel, as my painting teacher used to call it. I guess that's German. He had a lot of students from all over the world, and he would often get into the idiosyncratic linguistics and as they relate to portrait painting. So that was always sort of fun. Now let's find the Nasenflügel above the highlight. So you'll start to see this stuff is fun. So you lay in a little, this is where it gets fun, in my opinion. You lay it in, okay, and then you find the middle value. So like, all right, maybe there's a middle value like this that kind of lives above here, but you don't want to lose your brushwork or your highlights or anything like that. All right, so there you go. You start to see there's the likeness, right? It's like coming through. What else happens? What else is going on? We got a dark under the nose, tip of the nose. Where does it live? Nobody knows. Let's say just happy little shadow right here, right here. Gosh, I'm in for it with these glasses. As I've said countless times, the inorganic subjects are the scariest for me to paint. Like, I'm much more comfortable painting faces and noses than I am figuring out how eyeglasses work. Well, maybe this is... Who knows? Okay. Let us review let's go. Let's do this. Get a little, I mean, we know that this is a dark. Get a broad brush there and just hit it. Let's get a broad brush here and find our light poking out of the massive beard. I said mass of beard, not massive beard, but it is that as well. It's going to start to turn those forms. Okay. Nope. We need to find the highlight. Sometimes you need to dig in and find that thing. Okay. We had a this thing goes like this. Just I'm lost without my paint by numbers. We're gonna use our turpentine here, fake turpentine. There you go. Now you got the smile mark. Things are looking up in Bob's world. And it's so interesting the way the eye can throw you off when you think you have it all figured out. Here. Let's find a happy little shadow on the, really just blocking in darks there. Darkest darks. If you don't see the tonal context, meaning if you don't see how light or dark something is, you can get lost. So now that I see that, I'm like, oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Basically, it's not as Linda, if you're watching, it's not as mindless copying. It's not, it actually takes some training, but you can get it. Okay, where is all this great beard stuff? What is it? Where is it? Something like this. Gosh, I think I was working on a series of Dateline presenter portraits, and I don't think I know. I started getting some bad dreams, and so I think that was another reason why I was like, yeah, let's just dream about happy trees. All right, I'm stalled a bit, and that's okay. Look at this expansive hair. It's really impressive. Goes on and on and on. Gonna be a hard one. Just whisking in. So this is where like the lighting from the photo shoot is tricky. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not like I'm used to painting with one light source, and here I think we have several light sources. So you don't really get a clear understanding of how the form, if there's one light source, there's light, and then it wraps around into shadow. And that's more what it was like with Keith Morrison and the other Dateliners. But now we're contending with choppy light. No excuses, right? Seems like every time I start zooming in and zooming out is when I get a little warning. All right, let's look. Here's our... Let's anchor the head here. At least we know what that is. We know that this is also a shadow edge. It's like everybody got a tan this summer, right? Even old Bobby. Bobby R. There's our first blurred edge of the whole painting right there. I don't know if that's we're not gonna stick with that. But who knows? So let's find, we can really squint down and you could see like, all right, there's this bit of the beard that trails in here, comes down all the way here. But what's important, I think, within here is to find this value. Get a lighter value here because that's where we see where it starts to turn. And beard turns to along the beard turns to neck. All right. Find the right value here. Here's another wisp that we can get. It's kind of like as we often say on this channel, it is paint by numbers, glorified paint by numbers, but you're kind of making the numbers up yourself. You gotta know where they go. All right. Now, to really get this likeness cracking, we need to find the bottom edge of the beard here. So that's that. And we must carry on, right? Finding we've got to find all right, so let's just continue getting in here and building up the likeness. Sometimes the likeness comes from the hair, and there's another, I always say this, but you ever seen somebody who comes into work or school, the next thing you know, they've got a haircut, and you're like, oh, that person looks like that? Weird. So if you don't have the hair right, then the likeness is going to fall apart. All right, moving along. You also want to work on hands at the right moment. But it's not the right moment for that for me. What is the right moment is this exceptionally bright highlight. Okay, so let's find it. There's one. Now, did I botch that up? No. But here, here are the glasses, the trademark glasses. I mean, and then right to the left, Here's a critical, mission critical highlight. Just plop that in. Now the lighting on this portrait is, on the photograph is really tricky. And sometimes you deal with that. Like, oh, you know, we've got a posthumous portrait. You might not have the reference that you need. Okay, so here we're diving in, bringing down the eyelid, the lid line. Let's find our I lost it. He lost it. All right, well, I had some anatomy going there. But look, this is really going to get the kids over at Portrait Painters Group excited. We're going to start getting the eye figured out. Now, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Jeez. Bob, you're killing me here. It's tough work. Let's take the 10-minute break, starting soon, and we'll call this the reason I do this starting soon thing is not just because I'm starting soon, but starting soon, 12 noon, Eastern Standard Time. Wow. It's not just because I'm starting soon, which it is, also that. But what do you think? Why don't we get a nice Van Dyke Brown or Alizarin Crimson? Gosh, I do this every time I start playing around with this. Alizarin Crimson. Starting soon. Lovely. Okay. Will get us zoomed, and then we're going to take our break, and we will be back at 12. Wait, what? No. Oh, no. Not 12 noon. Oh, boy. Not 12 noon. Come on. I'm looking at my stream time. So we're going to do 5 minutes, 11:48 Eastern Standard Time. Okay. With that known, we're going to take a break. Okay? Thanks for being here, and I hope to see you when I get back. I'm late. I'm a little late, but here we go. We'll lock it up. All right. Let's get back into it. Quick break. Now, if you are joining on YouTube, I often offer this alluring prize, which is you get to be the first ever YouTube comment during a live stream. Same goes for Facebook. We're huge on Twitch, so that's not a problem. Neon Mantis, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoy watching, and there's more to come. We've got a lot of happy little curls to get through. And thanks again for the follow and the comments and chat. Let's get back to business. That means a lot to hear that you're getting something out of watching, because I like to talk about all this stuff, and I'm not. I think it's just a fun way to do this thing that I know how to do, and do it, with a little community hanging out. Like I'm not. When I go into a studio and paint, it's kind of boring. I mean, I listen to a lot of talk radio and stuff like that, so it's definitely a different way, and I enjoy it. Oh no, I messed up. Hold on. Screen mode, full screen mode. Okay. So as I was on my break, it's never a break, right? Because you keep looking over and saying, well, what is that? What did I do something wrong there? Keep looking at the picture. So, no, I didn't do anything wrong, but you can always do it more right. And the question is, how right do you want to do it? Okay. So let's keep going. There's a happy little wispy beard area. So, Yeah, look at this. Like, we can start to turn these edges. Start to find out what's highlight, what's hair, and all that. Now, it's interesting when you're painting somebody who has a beard, you don't have to deal with so much of what you typically would have to deal with. Like all the little highlights on the chin and all that. But you do have moments that are challenging for sure. Either way. Okay. Let's find our highlight. No. You can, 9 times out of times, and when I've said highlight 5 billion times on this stream. But I don't even know if I just assume it's a highlight. Because really, everything's a highlight. I had a teacher who used to say, everything is just a shade of gray. And that's really interesting, and I kind of agree. If you look at things through that perspective, it really simplifies things. You don't have to worry about what color that is or... All right. I'm getting messed up because I didn't... Look at this. I can't believe Bob Ross is... I'm probably a good deal older than Bob Ross in this picture. Bobby R. He's a legend. There's 1. There's 2. Interesting. See that? Every time I get into some kind of... trying to figure out why. That's definitely... So what I was complaining about was my stream is buffering or whatever. I hope it's not choppy where you are. We're going to find our... all right, so any questions, comments, concerns? How... I don't know. these highlights I said it again. They're not highlights, they're middle values, but that's fine. And this sort of a value like that. And since we have nothing to lose, we'll just lay it in, lay it on thick. Okie doke. What else is new? Oh, it's still crickets in the chat room over at Facebook and YouTube. I understand. It's fine. But if anybody wants to sort of crack open the first comment, it's yours for the taking. You'll forever be immortalized. Or you'll forever be remembered. Okay. Let's find out what we got here. Let's finish the nose, okay? At least we could finish the nose. There's a nice highlight. I don't know what this highlight does or where it does its thing, but I think the key is to, as I've always said, zoom out, get your brush, flick your eye back and forth, and plug in an answer. It's like if you've ever taken an SAT in the math section, you can plug in C, get it wrong, solve for what happens if you choose C, and then, given it's wrong, you can work up or down and say, oh, it's wrong by how many degrees? And then I'll solve for B and A. So there's just a little hack for the SATs, but it also works in other things. Just try something and see what works. Now, in that case, I think I tried the wrong thing. But it's okay. The right thing is never far away. Same thing goes for guitar. Like if you're improvising on a guitar, you hit the wrong note, no problem. Slide up a fret. Think about ways to make lemonade out of lemons. Okay. Little flickers of highlight here. We're going to try blurring. We're always blurring, but what I mean is we're going to try and connect these dots here, so to speak. Same idea here. We're going to start to fill in answers to our questions. So yeah. Okay. See this nice... I don't know why I'm suddenly jumping. This is a classic thing of me. Like, I'll get distracted by something that looks easier to paint. Okay. But let's keep it on message here. Blur it. Shake it. All right, look, here's a nice... Here, what we want to do is... So watch this. You'll see eventually where I'm going with this. Perfect color. And I got it from somewhere else on the head. So, Linda, I still had to use my eyes. You know, see, we're starting to creep our way toward a likeness. Now, one thing I wish I'd done, which I did not do, is figure out what... And so this is obviously this. But... basically, you know, I get lost a little bit in all this stuff. And that's fine, but you got to find your way out by plopping in solutions to your problems. Okay, you just find that. Here's a nice swath of this beard color. How about this beard color? Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you make assumptions about how far away things are from one another. All right, we're still live. Now let's not get lost. I don't know if you remember this, if anyone was here, but we had a funny challenge the other day where I lost my live stream. I'm sorry, my time lapse. And we just had to repaint. Start over. Here's the darkest dark that we can crack in. Any landmark like this, wow, look at that bright highlight. Any landmark such as the eyeglasses. Can help us navigate. For example, how about a dark of the eyeglass, whatever the part of the eyeglasses is here. So if we see, it goes this oval shape, and then connected to it is that. So something like that. Gulp, I say, because I don't know if that's right. I didn't do the right thing here. Sorry if you're getting dizzy out there, so am I. So flick your eye back and forth. and solve them problems. I did make a mistake there. The highlight related to the something eyeglasses lives here. Okay, and then this it all comes out in the wash, but the sooner, more accurate, the better. All right, don't just... So this was the problem. We're going to move that by just blending and blurring. Who is it that... There it is. Better. Love these crow's feet. And we can find them here. Let's plop them in. And we know right next to them are our trusty highlights. We hug them. Now, I don't know how light those highlights are going to go. Probably. Boom. Get in here. Find the darks. Do ourselves favors, right? Just gonna chisel those in as though we had a what are they called? A brush. A 3. Now look. So yeah, here. A 000 brush. Oy, that's not good. Here, let's put a little marker there. Starting soon, 1 a.m. So that we know that happened in the lives. I like to have a clean time lapse without mistakes. I think that's because there's so many. It's like I like to have control over something here. Okay. Zooming out. There he is, right? We're starting to see the kind of all right. So before we get too lost, there's a couple of things we want to get accomplished here. One is find the dustiness of the beard here, because sometimes just having a boundary, it's like they say, good neighbors make good fences. So good fences make good neighbors, whatever. I say the same about if the neighbors are, in this analogy, if the neighbors are the beard and the fences are kind of if the neighbor is the if the neighbor is the beard and the neighbors are the beard and the shirt. Okay, you got the beard and you got the shirt next to each other. Therefore, we can create fences and delineate the two and say, this is beard, this is shirt. Beard, nice to meet you. Shirt, how do you do? But if you don't have a kind of boundary line there, your eye will go crazy. It's kind of like a cow in a pasture with fences. If you put the fence in, the cow can then relax, because the cow otherwise will be going crazy. Like, where am I supposed to go? So anyway, we'll discuss it more in detail later. Your eye will go crazy like a cow. That's the bottom line. So yet again, find our brush mark. Here's our something of a lighter value here that we can plug in. Beards. You can't paint them. I don't know. Come up with some jingle there. Man, this is harder than I thought. I thought we were going to just have a blast painting old Bob, but It is hard work. Oh, Bob. Bobby Bob. But it doesn't always have to be fun, does it? I don't know. There's the head. Oh my gosh. Let's see where else we don't have an answer for what's next. Like all this. We don't have an answer. So we're just going to kind of brush it in. So much of the likeness really is the hair. I mean, just going to pretend we know what we're doing. Is that a dark? Probably. Pretend we know what lives here. Happy little wisps. Sort of clouds. Okay. And we'll find some wisps. Okay. Top of the head. As it wraps around, we might as well find that fence, the boundary between hair and background, although we're going to lose it eventually. You can see they picked quite a background for old Bobby. Definitely want to get that top of the head in there. And then what's interesting about this photograph, well, there's a lot of interesting things about the photograph, but one of the things I like is that we can see, I feel they've paid a lot of attention to color. They chose a color that works well, particularly given the time of, I don't know. I like it. It's a good background color. Let's find out if this, so that's fine. I went a little far there. We're going to find the top of the head here. And then we'll find a wispy highlight. We have to sink it in. Tip, 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 tip. Okay. Something like that. Whoa, I don't like that. I don't like seeing that. There's the top of the head. And yep. All right. There's our top of head. Let's step back a little bit. By that I mean zoom out and take a look and decide, okay, what can we accomplish in the next 30, 45 minutes, something like that. I'm going to relax a bit and just look. What would make this thing feel more complete? Well, I'm not going to take a break for long. We can never rest on our laurels here in this business. We're going to find out if this, something like that, will that make us more satisfied? Or basically, can we get our eye to rest somewhat? That's the idea. I hope that's not a call from school. Sometimes school calls with a tummy ache or something. Let's find out. I'll listen to this. Hello. We're at the pier. So help me if this is another spam call. I'll never answer my phone again. All right, now what's this? This can be melted down, rendered. I'm too tempted. I'm so lovely. There was some lovely electric piano music playing on the other end of the phone. All right, now what? How are we doing? Are we seeing anything out there that could be addressed? His ear doesn't need much attention. Although we do see this nice, we do get a hint of it. Maybe we should knock it in. Whoop. How's that on the old buffer? Feels like every time I zoom, I get some kind of stop doing that. Okay, here. All right, let's stop beating around the bush, so to speak. Let us get into our middle values. So I don't know where these are, but like Bob used to say, we'll find out where these live, right? And then let's see if we can find a little highlight that just lives right here. Peapod the pocket squirrel. Would have been nice to have more guests arrive on Bob's show, but then again, you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. That starts turning into another favorite of mine that I was gonna possibly paint today. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But I couldn't find a good high res. But this is a good way to start the PBS series. You know, we could do this guy, we'll do LeVar. What do you think? Butterfly in sky. I can go twice as high. To take a look. It's hard to find that recording of the old school one, because like it shouldn't be that hard, but I've tried the old school Reading Rainbow theme. Or maybe I'm just sort of misremembering it. Okay. Let's find a value here. Something like that. I don't want him to look too gaunt. Well, it's another Friday. Pizza Friday. Looking forward to possibly having a video game Friday as well. I can go twice as high. All right, let's kill this darker value here. Like, you know, just knock that in and get it out of our... That's too much. Something like that. Okay. Beep, beep. Stop doing that. All right. Where am I now? All right, team. Oh boy. Cousin _ cheap viewers. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. It's tempting. Mod actions. Well, I can't ban you if you don't follow me. All right. Let's move along. Come on. let's not get distracted by the bots. This is hard. This is hard work. I'll admit it. I thought the hair was going to be like, no problem, just sort of wash it in there. You know, like almost, it's just, he makes it look so easy. But pulling off this kind of style is hard to do. Something like that. Get a little. I shouldn't be jumping into the hair right now because we've got much bigger fish to fry. But it would be nice to like get a complete statement on the hair. Like I'm thinking tomorrow or later today, getting that done. Excuse me. All right, so right in here, you'll see in here, there's like one sunken value here. We're going to find a basic value for that. And we'll just, since we have nothing to lose, we'll plop it in. And then we can always go back once we have it basically indicated and find our... So here, another example. Like, why do I have this sideburn thingy going on here? You don't need that. You can put that here. And then to the right of that, we have this value. But let's not go too zany there. I think what happened here also is I like overshot. Let's get in here to our like zoom level. Yeah, I think we're gonna make it. And then look, this little canvas is poking through here. Something like this. Uh-oh. Stream buffer. Can you guys all see? I'm sure. I keep asking this. I don't know. They're telling me something's wrong with the stream. Okay, good. Let's find this value, pull it back. Find this one and bring it back. Gotta be careful there. I don't want a toothy. Gotta figure out how that beard looks. Like, for instance, this is all great and good, but there's a way this bleeds in here. So find that sort of middle value like this and bleed it in, bleed it up. You know, just sort of find it. We got things to accomplish here. So let's keep going. I like what's happening here. Speaking of more beard, the beard to the beard-brain connection. What do they call that? The blood-brain barrier? This is the beard-head barrier. You got to figure out how it works. Like, look, this is a great little shadow line. Like right here, you see this kind of like 45-degree angle. Now, if I can pin that, even though I don't have it in my, it's somewhere around here. Is it the one down here? Maybe it is. Or is that something else? I don't know. But I'm going to plug it in, like answering a multiple choice test with just plopping anything in there. And then you see if it's right later. I mean, it's not that sharp anyway, so we can fix it. But yeah, you start to see that's his chin. Now, this may be, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but this may be kind of young, hungry Bob Ross. Like, look at the eyes. He's like, he sees the road ahead of him and he's kind of like, there's nothing going to stop me from dominating public television. And it's the twinkle in the eye. But then maybe as he gets older and a little more jaded, might be fun to do a kind of series, review his works as well. Okay. It's always good to keep psychology in mind, but I kind of tend to leave that. I sort of do 2 rounds on the head. Like, I get the head done. At least I make a complete statement on the head. And then I circle back. So we're still in the first. I circle back to like get accents and those twinkles and little things. Happy little trees and so forth. All right, we're going to make this connection here. And this connection there. Just indicate it. Okay, let's look at our reference drawing and just kind of find out who's what, where's everything. So we don't have a lot of information there, but we do have we know that's there. Pardon me, we're going to find our dark value there. And I think we can safely plop that in to about there. And let's see how it goes down as it curves down. A lot of highlight stuff happening there. So that's probably for another day that we'll get in there and get that constellation of highlights. But, you know, for now we're just getting some indications. So what else is happening here? Look at the eyeglasses. Important? Yes, definitely. Structurally critical. We might not be able to get in there and solve the whole mystery, but let's find this sort of a middle value here. No, that's too dark. Something like that. And again, since we don't have anything to lose, we'll just plop in a value. Why not? Plop it in. And whenever you're painting with a brush stroke, you want to plop it in sort of related to the structure of the head. So that's something that I often forget. But like, here's where the cheekbone lives, and you can kind of, that brush stroke didn't quite do what I wanted it to do, but you kind of lay that it's almost like laying a brick down in the direction that it would go if it were a sculpture. Does that make sense? So like you think about this as though it's a 3D kind of sculpture. So that's one way to go about it. Let's find out where there's a nice shadow edge that lives underneath the highlight. Blur that across. Whoops. Okay. We must carry on here. Fight the good fight. So here's a highlight. You'll know that when I'm going to say mid-tone, shadow, or highlight, because that's where you kind of got to break things down into that. Mid-tone is mid-tone, middle. Highlight is a ping, like on the cheek. And then a shadow is this, the darks. But I have some kind of issue going on where I just say highlight for everything. Because highlights are sort of the most fun to paint, in my opinion. All right, let's see. Let's get a dark. No, that was a mid-tone. That was a middle value. Let's get the middle value. Plink it in. I don't know where it lives exactly, but maybe Bob does. So, oops, nope. See that? I lost that. I lost a little hint of that edge. And we're going to need to blur it in and find it again anyway. So, where are we? Whoops. What was that? Let's put in just for fun. No, I don't want to do it. I was going to do his Scientology medallion. But let's wait till we're like really worked up. Oh, here we go. I found it. I found out what this shape was. I think. No? Maybe not. Really having too much fun to stop this one. So if I do come back for the afternoon session, I think we're going to be... There's plenty to work on with Bob. Not the least of which is the palette that he's holding on to there. That's some crazy stuff. I've never seen that many colors. Okay. What does he have there? Some titanium white? Sure of it. I knew it, Bob. Now, he sells his own colors. I'm not sure. I can't speak to the quality of the colors. And I also can't speak to any of the proceeds going to the Bob Ross estate. But there is a Bob Ross line of art materials. You know what would kind of be cool? What if everybody banded together and bought the Bob Ross company? I don't know what we would get out of it, but we would be able to kind of, it would be like sort of a liberation thing where you're, well, anyway, that's for next stream maybe. You know, like sort of get the money back to the estate and kind of be cool. All right, I don't know what this shape is, but I'm going to put it in, probably in the wrong place again. I think the time to do that leveraged buyout of the Bob Ross Corporation was when the documentary came out, because I don't think he's going to have another 15 minutes for some time. All right, so look, part of the thing of finding, part of the whole deal with figuring out where all this stuff goes, I'm like manically flicking my eye back and forth, trying to find where these darkest darks go. Because I don't really know, I'm just going to plop them in. But the sooner you can get these kind of, I look at them like countries or something. Like there's an island of middle value floating in a sea of shadow. So the sooner you can find where those are, the better. It's not easy because, you know, once you abandon you kind of have to make it up, and you kind of have to let yourself off the hook, especially when you're in the hair. Because again, like earlier we were saying, the payoff of getting the hair right isn't the same as if you get the nose right or whatever. So just let yourself off the hook a little bit. It's easier said than done, but sometimes we can do a little too much. All right, so hair looking good-ish, kind of. All right, so I'm going to take this opportunity to invite anyone watching who's interested to try to find my YouTube page or Instagram, because I have some of the time lapses of what they look like when they're done. And those are sort of the big, talking about payoff, that's when it really gets fun. I mean, this part's fun, but watching it unfold is really kind of fun for me. And that's what, and I post them and I see that people like to see that. People definitely want to see that 20 hours of painting come down to 12 seconds. So that's where you can find that. Whoa, what was that? Another buffering? Anyway, the Instagram is Chris Eastland Art, I think. And there you can find the latest time lapses. We did a Nintendo series. We did the Dateline series. What was that?
Anchored by Lester Holt, Dateline is NBC's signature news magazine, bringing viewers storytelling at its best by...
Did Siri just trying to help? I know. I think we all know what Dateline is. Maybe not all of us are. So I was going to do Lester Holt this morning, and I could not, for the life of me, find. There were these great studio shots of the guys and the gal on Google, and I found them for everybody else, but I couldn't find them for Dennis Murphy or Lester Holt. And I think that probably makes sense. Like that's would seem to be the kind of hierarchy of fame that, it's like you got Keith Morrison, obviously the leader, the head vampire. Then Andrea, I would say, is kind of next, second most popular. I mean, she's all over the socials and everything. And then Josh Mankiewicz. But Lester Holt is probably in some ways bigger than all of them because he's on NBC News. He anchors NBC News. But they did this great shoot of all the Dateline guys and gal. And then I was looking for the high res, and I couldn't find them. I also noticed Google Images used to have search on Google Image, but now they're doing it all through Lens, which I don't, at least for my purposes, it's not working as well as it used to when it was search on Google. So another thing to complain about the sunsetting of. All right, I think the elephant in the room here is the mustache. Let's get it solved. So, that's a decent value for the whole thing. And maybe not the whole thing, but the edge here so that we know where it is. And then bear with me as I find a darker value. Find it, and then lay that in. Oh no. Encoding error. So yeah, I also think one thing that I'd like to do with these series is to invite the viewers to suggest subjects. You tell me, who would you like to see painted? I think it really kind of largely depends on what reference images are available, but also, with a little scratch, you can get into the Getty library and get some darn good photos in high res. I mean, you don't even need high res. You just need like basic. I mean, this is not high resolution, but it's good enough. It's bigger than most things are these days. I feel like things are getting wiped off the internet forever. In the old, I actually was a photo editor at a magazine once, and there used to be this thing called, what was it called? Doctor. I gotta ask my buddy who's the market editor there. We used to well, actually, I'll just suffice it to say that we found out what images were available, to use, at that high resolution back in the day. Doctor something, that name will come back to me in the middle of the night. Okay, so now with not much further ado, look, we're starting to, oh, look at that little turn of the eye. That's what it's all about. Or a boat, a boat, as they might say in Bob's home land. Although he's not Canadian, I'm just making things up. Honorary Canadian Bob Ross. Let's curl that around. All right, again, we're going to grab a value like this and just plunk it in. Plunk it. Yeah, that was already the value we had, so good. Now, let's find some anatomy, structural stuff. So what is this little triangle there? It's this. We can find it, plop it in. Probably shouldn't have been that dark. Scarlet Jason. What's up? How goes it? We're kind of deep in it with Bobby Ross here. How is my streaming going on? Pretty good. What do you think? We're just sort of enjoying the subtle curvature of Bob Ross's features and hair and the whole bit. We're going to keep on moving. How about yourself? What's new? It's going good, Scarlet Jason. What brings you here? It's going even better now that you're chatting. You've joined the chat. So I'm trying to cover the canvas as far as the head goes in the last few minutes here. Maybe not few minutes, but in the last push. We'll find out if we can achieve that. Whoops. We're going to take a little... I watched a spooky season movie last night, Salem's Lot, the original one. Thank you, Cinnabon Boy, for helping me out there. Yeah. And we also stream other important celebs like Josh Mankiewicz, or paintings of important celebs. Gosh, I hope I don't forget. I wanted to Google something or discuss something, but I think I'm going to forget what it was. How about yourself, Scarlet Jason? What do you stream? Or what do you like to watch? Oh boy, that's a mess. It really mixes up. You like anime, actually. Cool. Anything in particular? Well, what's your real name? Oh, well, you can sort of deduce that probably by well, it's I think it's on my Instagram. My Instagram is linked here at the account in the profile. Sorry, so just for the YouTube audience and Facebook, we have a pretty lively chat going on right now from yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be, yeah. I know that it's not a big part of the thing. It's not. I draw the line at Social Security number. All right. Let's find out. means I can call you Bob? Well, no, I'm painting Bob. Bob is my muse today. But you could call me Crick or whatever. Whatever you... I botch up people's names so bad on this platform. This is hard work. Oh, terrific. Come on. We can be friends, yes. Does it come with any... I don't know. What does it come with? What's the... I hope there are not too many strings attached. Let's put it that way. Because I'm a little... I'm a little busy in my life. But, we'll see what happens. It comes with them wanting to sell you AI art. Oh, I'm so good at AI art, though. Just ask Linda. I don't need any AI art. Yeah. Come on now. It's funny because I think the Discord crew, I haven't seen much Discord stuff since scaling back my prolific Z1 streaming. And it tells me that, maybe... Oh, sure. Yeah. I guess the only caveat would be I've learned over the months that people don't generally click links in the chat for fear of, spreading cooties, digital cooties. So you might want to spell out those links. I'm sorry, I should keep translating this. Scarlett Jason, you've asked, do you want to see my art? And I say what I said. And then Scarlett Jason has asked if I use Discord. Not regularly. I'll put it that way. It's not a great place to get a hold of me. Anyway. We've teed up the sales pitch. One of my favorite Discord, when I got a Discord invite, this is the first time anybody ever invited me to be friends on Discord, and it's really been the last time. But I looked at the account and it said, my old discount got banned. My old account got banned. That was in the what's it called? In the profile description, like the bio was like my Yeah, exactly. Like, first of all, I'm not going to stick around to find out why it was banned, but kind of a red flag. And the guy was like standing by like a Lamborghini or something. All right. Well, same as Scarlett Jason. Twitch account just created today. Hey, Scarlett Jason. Now I'm getting suspicious. Should I get you off this platform because Twitch will ban quick? Is Twitch able to ban they will automatically ban people dropping links and things? Because not on my channel. I mean, they've allowed a lot of that on my channel. I mean, there's one sitting in the chat from earlier where I got seduced. This is where I should put on my Roxette love ballad. And they send the links here if they are reported. Yeah, okay. Well, I think it's always a matter of like, what's the payoff? Did he follow? Did I get a follow out of this deal? Because that's what it's all about, right? I just want a boost in my numbers. No, it's all right. Just like, maybe we could just say don't chat, but you can lurk. Lurk, don't chat. Anyway, I have fun with it. I'm getting a little distracted at the moment, actually. I should be a little cautious of that. Oh, come on. Look at on that is your first time working with me. So let me know, what are you looking for your channel? Any ideas in your mind, or can I suggest something cool? No, I have absolutely no cool ideas. I just sort of paint what I see. Some of the people that come in here are real artists with real portfolios. How do you mean? Cinnabon. Look at guy. Oh, Kazan. Was that today when he started chatting? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think that is too bad. And they want to share their stuff. But I think on the flip side, if they stream some stuff, even if it's just like, hey, I'm Kazan and here's a link to my portfolio, then I would be jazzed to go check out their portfolio. Something cool? Thank you, Neon Mantis, for saying aloud what I was wanting to say. But other viewers of yours are actual artists that come here with things to share, learn. Absolutely. Yeah, I learn a lot from artists who come onto this stream and start chatting. And I think that's sort of the issue. That's the real red flag, is if you're not learning anything from the conversation, it's a one-way street. And that's where I get peeved. Wait, did he set up a Discord just now? Like he was ready to reel me in? Like, come on, you gotta at least buy me a dinner and a couple of drinks. I don't know. What I like about the bots, or whatever they are, I don't know how it works. But what I like about it is that it inspires. I mean, the other thing is, what is my Discord bro like? Do a modicum of research. I guess that takes too much time. Is that the right word, modicum? Like, just do the bare bones of research. Anyway, but yeah, I think this stuff all inspires conversation, and that is definitely welcome. Okay, so pals. Oh my gosh, I just got like a sudden flash of fear. Because I realize I'm coming up to, like, I've basically worked for 3 hours. This is where we've gotten. I'm not going to stop now, but I might take a stretch. Yes, impending doom. It was like, oh my God, am I late for my next thing? But I'm not. Excuse me. So here's what we'll do. Oh yeah, that was what I was going to say. Here's like kind of a vague concept for something that I want to do with this stream, to make it a little more interactive. Like, oh boy. I've got a call that I don't really want to take, but hang on a second. No, I didn't get it in time. That happens. So here's sort of what I want to do with the stream at some point is, what if we were to do a kind of vote on like some of these like paintings, and then we'll choose one of them, and then actually that one will get it printed out life size, and then do an oil painting in the studio. That would be, and then that oil painting is like, that's like legal tender. Now you got something that even Linda can get behind. So let's see. Well, that's a concept. Let me read this voicemail. Anything yet from the diner? Okay. Yeah. Very good. Sorry about that. Got some. All right. Let's see if this. So anyway, a lot going on. Huge thanks for all the activity in chat today. It really keeps things lively and fun. So you're gonna see what starts happening is, like, as this thing comes into place, as things start to. Ugh, alright. My world is crumbling here. Not really, but okay. Cool. Yes. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. So there's interest there. I'd like to see if I can still do it after all this. I'd like to see if I could set it up. And, you know, a big part of this was getting the muscle memory of just streaming generally. So I'm glad there's interest there, and need some equipment probably. And we'll figure it out. All right, we're just sort of wending our way toward a likeness here. Let's put our... something like that. Make that connection. I see. So see how the shadow from the eyeglasses comes here? It just keeps coming around. I don't know what or where it ends, but oh, I think I do now. Yeah. Something like this comes in after. I don't know. Who knows? We got to figure all this out next time. No, I don't like that. See what happens when you get distracted? I didn't like it. I don't think that's the what we're looking for. Well, could be worse. Bobby R. Let's bring it down to here. Oh, we lost it. Okay. So that's that for today. we lost our stream, Bob Ross V2, and sometimes it's abrupt like that. We lost our whatever it's called over there. So as much as I'd like to stay on, I encourage you guys to, if you're interested in seeing more, follow, and then I'm going to try to be on the weekend. I'm not really painting, but try to be on 9 to noon, or maybe do a bigger session. But I still don't have my schedule figured out, but the technology limited me today. And anyway, I appreciate the views and the hang. So thank you, and we will see you at the next one. Let's see if there's anybody else streaming art right now. Maybe we can do a raid. I don't know. Well, let's anyway, I had fun doing this. I hope we have more fun tomorrow or Monday. I should have taken that. Actually, no, I shouldn't have. Any painting channels? I mean, that just goes to show how out of the loop I am. I get a lot of okay, so I hate to leave it at this, but we're going to close down operations. Thanks, Neon Mantis. Really enjoyed having you along, and I'm thrilled. Thank you. We will do it again soon. Have a good weekend, and I'm going to say bye-bye, and we'll see you next time.